do, nobody will probably come and encourage you to join their gang or the group.
Yes.
To keep Nigeria one is a must that must be done. Nigeria is not going to break.
So if I want to buy this one now, how much you go sell this one?
I will free give you 500.
Sure, this one?
Yes.
This small banana?
Yes.
I know that Buhari can do it. He has a lot of plans. We should be praying for him. He's a human being. Anything can happen to anybody.
The majority of the law they pass belong to them, to favor them, not the masses in Nigeria.
If we want to change, let's change generally. Don't let change up. Let's change generally.
The people giving voice to the voiceless.
Welcome back. If you just tune in, this is still your program, Abuja Today, that brings you up to speed with activities in the nation's seat of power. The federal government has been enjoined to develop and implement a broad-based framework that will facilitate equal access to healthcare facility for persons with disability. Such framework, they say, should cover the ease of seeking medical attention by all categories of people with disability for optimal development and social welfare for the society. The call is coming at the opening ceremony of the 5-day training on advocacy for social justice and integration of persons with disability holding in the Federal Capital Territory. This gathering at the 5-day training is to build the capacity of advocates and lobbyists for seamless inclusion of people with disability in the country. The Executive Director, Center for Citizens with Disability, David Ayanle, during his remarks at the training says it is aimed at building the capacity of the participants in strategy in conveying their challenges to the authorities. He emphasized that passage of the Disability Bill will remove the barriers to the rights of persons with disability.
So we discovered that lack of understanding, lack of capacity, lack of strategy or methodology of engaging. Most times they see us as hostile, as aggressive people, people who like to make trouble, even when we are communicating issues of importance to us. Therefore, this workshop provides an opportunity for us to, build the capacity of organization of persons with disabilities so that they can be able to respond to their development needs.
Chairman Federal Capital Territory National Association of the Blind appeals to the government to allocate employment percentage to persons with disability, especially in the health and education sector.
Actually, the government is supposed to be assisting persons with disability in so many areas of life, but we don't get it as it's supposed to be in our nation here. When you talk of education, persons with disability don't get scholarships, funding of any kind of grants. In terms of transport, it happens abroad in the Western world. When you travel out, you see it. There are spaces kept for persons with disability in buses and all the rest of them, in train too. In so many ways, in the health sector, a lot of persons with disability, especially our deaf brothers and sisters, they don't have interpreters in the hospital.
Meanwhile, other resource persons at the training stressed on the need for citizens to join forces and advocate for the rights of persons with disability, pointing out that no one is immune to disability.
The idea is to create an enabling environment for those in authority, those making laws, those implementing laws, to know that there's a need to fend to the needs of the less privileged, if you will, or the disabled. It is important that for anything you do, you must know that we are all going to be disabled at some day, either by age or by accidents or what have you.
These individuals are hoping that the expectations and recommendations made from this 5-day training would become workable methodology for the government to use in resolving the issues on their challenges. Nigerian children in the Federal Capital Territory have joined the rest of the world to mark the Children's Day celebration as a charge to the government to provide equipped educational structure that will enable them enhance their educational and vocational skill sets in the various forms that will make them build their individual capacity for national good. May 27 is an annual date where the Nigerian child is celebrated in line with the global calendar, which uses the day to promote all best practices that will enable children develop confidently and aspire in a safe environment to become useful adults in their respective societies. The celebration in the Federal Capital Territory Administration is a partnership between the administration and a foundation which focuses on children development.
That they equip more schools and put more children in schools so that they'll be educated in stuff, so that during any school events they shall know what to do and they shall not be on the streets.
We want government to provide school, water, and everything so that children will not suffer of their life and not going from street to street.
What I want government to do for us is that they should provide more teacher for the student, and they should encourage students that they should pay attention to their teacher and listen what the teacher teaches them. The classes that they will be a good people tomorrow.
A child development advocate says good guidance by their parents and confidence in the ability of children to take decisions is a veritable way building their self-esteem and empowering them to be responsible for their actions.
What you inculcate in a child is what the child will grow up with. Government in their own part has to bring out the resources and everything within their power to make sure that every child is accorded education. Parents should not always depend on government, like I said, in as much as it's very difficult in the society out there. But we parents have to also give our children, aside school education, there are home educations, domestic educations you can give to your child, and it will help them grow.
For other stakeholders, they appeal to the government to create an enabling environment for children to be trained on entrepreneurial skills to engage them after their education that would give them a source of livelihood.
To teach them how to be entrepreneur, teach them other things that they can do. Like a child said it yesterday, that you don't even need money to start molding clay pots. And you know how expensive clay pots are. That doesn't require any capital, as you know. It's for you to identify where you can find clays and start molding them. And if they are fine, is what can earn somebody money. So if emphasis is taken away from certificates, there's what they call certificate now. What can you do?
The kids put up a cultural performance to the delight of their parents and guardians who joined them in the celebration of their special day. Let's hold our horses here, and when we'll come back, we'll bring you other highlights of activities in the course of the week. See you shortly.
If you are not idle, nobody will probably come and encourage you to join their gang or the group.
Yes. To keep Nigeria one is a must that must be done. Nigeria is not going to break.
So if I want to buy this one now, how much you go sell this one?
I will give you 500.
Sure? This one?
Yes.
This small banana?
Yes.
I know that Buhari can do it.
He has a lot of plans. We should be praying for him. He's a human being. Anything can happen to anybody.
The majority of the law they pass belong to them, to favor them, not the masses in Nigeria.
If we want to change, let's change generally. Don't let change up. Let's change generally.
The people giving voice to the voiceless.
Judiciary, third arm of government. What happens here is what we give to you. The arraignments, arguments, rulings, adjournments of cases and judgments. The fight against corruption and issues bordering on human rights violations.
The doctrine of least spenders ought to have been respected, that no arm of government, however powerful, should take the laws into its hands as held by the Supreme Court.
Justice is one way. It's either you go for justice or justice go after you. But I've never seen a situation where an individual is afraid of justice.
We move from court to court to give you updates on legal matters, when they happen and where they are happening, going extra miles to get reactions from the parties, even when they're not in the mood to speak.
No comment. Talk to my lawyer.
Watch Legal Scope on CoreTV News at this time.
less than 150 female students participated in the Girl Realize Your Potentials 2018 Summit organized by a non-governmental organization with bias for women and children development. The one-day program, the organizer says, is aimed at providing a platform to educate schoolgirls and young women in the Federal Capital Territory by linking the schoolgirls and women who have made it in life in terms of their dream and potentials. The girls are pulled from public and private schools in the Federal Capital Territory to have early exposure to the possibilities before them, especially in pursuit of their dreams through discipline and focus. The convener of the summit, Juma Amodu, says. She stressed that female students need mentorship in their chosen careers, corporate organizations and governments to collaborate and provide the needed socio-economic support for the advancement of the cause of the girl child.
The major issue we want to highlight with this event is the fact that we want these girls to be able to realize their potential and how they'll go about realizing their potentials. That cannot be achieved if they don't interact with all these women that already accomplished, successful women in our society. We plead with them and we are honored that they agreed to come and interact with these children to let them know what are the difficulties and challenges they encountered before they became who they are today. That way the girls will learn from there. They'll be politically empowered, economically empowered, and be able to reach their full potentials.
Guest speaker and director of Human Resource Development charges the students to guard against drug abuse and emulate genuine mentors in the society, as she told the participants of her life experience, enjoining them to be hardworking and dedicated to their studies in their chosen career.
The girl child in Nigeria has a lot of challenge, especially now that the economic situation is a little bit too hard. The parents may like to sacrifice the girl in the cause of hardship, but one thing is that we depend so much on the government. Everybody is waiting for the government to do one thing or the other. As a director of Human Resource, every day people come to me. They have 6 children at home, graduates waiting for employment. So you can see that the situation is not easy. But I will only call on the parents that they need to go think out of the box. They should not just wait and depend on the government for white-collar job.
Section 225 dwells on financial disclosure by political parties with specific directive of transfer of cash and assets to the Independent National Electoral Commission. This section seeks to insinuate the country from having a political leader sponsored by foreign country and may be loyal to such foreign sponsors as against the country. Highlighting the importance of youth empowerment and participation in 2019 general elections, Ashoebi says Nigerian youths should make efforts to ensure effective implementation of 3 empowering sections of Chapter 2 of the 1999 Constitution. He calls for an expansion of the frontier of full political franchise for Nigerian youths in order to bridge the gap between the right to vote and be voted for.
So there are areas where INEC can help to provide this level playing field financially if they want to use to participate in politics. The other thing to say is that the Constitution also provides opportunity to ensure that the youth are not disadvantaged.
Chairman Board of Electoral Institute, who represented the INEC chairman, tasked Nigerian youths to live a life of impact, while others charged INEC to carry out a study on youth registration.
It's not just about opening up the political space for young people. It is about opening up the political space for young people with the right kind of consciousness. And I think this is extremely important because young people have to have the right kind of consciousness. It's not just about participating in politics and continuing business as usual. It is about understanding that the intellect and power of young people should be directed towards certain kinds of transformation of society.
There is a need to motivate youth to take part and learn about the political and electoral system by asking them to actually recognize that they as Nigerian citizens with rights and freedoms have the power and the ultimate power to effect change by having their voices heard and, most importantly, participating in the electoral process.
It is believed that this memorial lecture will interrogate the relationship between youth empowerment and participation come 2019 elections, as well as suggest ways of increasing their inclusion in governance. Anita Patrick, CoreTV News, Abuja. Well, this is how far we can go on this week's edition of your program, Abuja Today. Until next week when we come your way. But don't forget, you can keep up the conversation on the social media platforms displayed on the screen. Also for advert placements and sponsorship, you can call the numbers scrolling on the screen. I am Anita Patrick. Many thanks for watching. See you next time.
Your program, Southern Report.
We believe all Nigerians have the right.
The money we are supposed to use for this time.
Hello, our esteemed viewers, and welcome to another edition of your darling program, Southern Report, the program which brings to you happenings across the South, Southeast, and the Southwestern region of our country, Nigeria. My name is Rashid, and I want to say Ramadan Mubarak to our Muslim faithful. Welcome to another exciting edition. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. We take this from Ekiti. After their first hit at a bank in Ifakekiti, which left one policeman dead, daredevil armed robbers made another onslaught on Ilawe Ekiti over the week, attacking another bank, and this time around, killing 2 people.
The incident, which happened on Tuesday at about noon, left 2 people dead. A policeman who is the aide-de-camp to the executive chairman of Ekiti Southwest local government area, and a banker. The executive chairman of Ekiti Southwest local government said the robbery was carefully planned and executed in a manner that made it difficult for security operatives to confront them.
The incident coincided with the arrival of the money. It means if investigation is conducted, certain things will reveal itself. Because I don't know how those people managed to know that the money will be coming on that day. And they will be here waiting for from the information we gathered, the thieves, they are already on ground before the arrival of the money. So when they came, they allowed them to leave. After just 40 minutes of their departure, the execution of the exercise began.
The Alawe of Ilawe Ekiti, whose palace is located beside the bank, condemned the invasion of the bank. He charged the federal government to establish a special police unit for the protection of financial institutions in the country.
There are certain things I will recommend that government should do about the security of lives and property. I want to be specific about the banking sector, our financial institution. There should be properly equipped police to handle security in the banks. Once our financial institutions are not safe, how can we grow the economy? Banks will be folding up, they will be closing their branches because of insecurity. How can the country develop economically?
Effort to get the reaction of the police proved abortive as the Deputy Commissioner of Police in Ekiti State, Usman Yusuf, who led the police team to the bank on Wednesday, declined comments. Ekiti State Police Command also has no substantive police public relations officer. The armed robbers are said to have struck less than 40 hours after a bullion van brought money into the bank.
In Ondo State, as at the last count, Over 367,000 voter cards are still with the Independent National Electoral Commission uncollected. You heard me right. Over 367,000 voter cards remain uncollected. The commission is miffed by this development and had to convoke a stakeholders meeting to keep the people abreast of this situation.
Political parties, heads of security agencies, non-governmental organizations and other stakeholders are at this meeting to parley ahead of the 2019 general elections. The resident electoral commissioner, Rufus Akeju, said it is important for key players to participate in the electoral process towards complying with rules and regulations guiding successful polls.
CPR is not a fresh registration exercise, but rather a window of opportunity for the following activities to take place. Registration of those who did not register during the last registration of voters exercise, perhaps because they are not of age at that time.
Some of the participants spoke on the essence of the gathering.
Our independents are INEC. Our independents are the police chiefs. Our independents are all security chiefs. So that problem we are facing in this country. If they can be independent to extend that they can enforce law without any fear of favor, we'll be all right for it. That's just the way. And what we have is that we don't have problem. We have political, what we call the mindset is a poverty of the mindset. That people now are not stealing. They want to be there at all costs, and they want to collect 5 naira or 10 naira or 500,000 or 50,000 before they can vote, because the current government and the past government are impoverish the people.
The INEC assignment, I will see it as multi-sectoral. It has to do with the security agents, it has to do within themselves, it has to do with the parties, it has to do with the electorates. These basic elements must be considered while they who act as umpire conduct their services at state level. Everybody, they have all their roles to play, and that's why they should work as a team with all these sectors.
Issues relating to voters' inducement and security of core members during elections were also discussed.
After the botched primaries, the All Progressives Congress staged a comeback at the Ekiti State APC primaries. The Minister for Mines and Steel Development and former Governor Kayode Fayemi finally emerged winner in the keenly contested election.
The tight security and other measures put in place contribute to the peaceful conduct of the rescheduled poll. At the end of the exercise, former Governor Kayode Fayemi was announced winner by the Tankwal Makura-led committee.
Primary election held today, Saturday, 12th of May 2018, do hereby declare that Fayemi John Kayode having scored the highest number of votes among the 33 aspirants and having satisfied the requirements of the guidelines and NBC Constitution, is hereby declared as the winner of the Ekiti NBC Convention primary election, dated today, 12th.
The standard bearer, Kayode Fayemi, promised to work for the party as he seeks the support of his co-contestant.
Co-contestants in this primary election, I plead that we put our differences aside and work together as one strong and indivisible party for success in the upcoming general election. Your Excellency, let me finally say a word to my own Ekiti people. Most of you are likely to wake up to these news when they wake up in the morning. In accepting this onerous responsibility of being my party's gubernatorial candidate in the July 14 election, I want you, Ekiti people, to rest assured that I am not on any vengeance mission.
Other aspirants accept the result, promising to support Fayemi.
I don't have any reason not to accept it. I don't have any reason not to accept it. Okay? We'll support the party's candidate. Okay?
But I've studied this election, and I think what I've thought I saw is what happened today. So I congratulate Dr. Kayode Fayemi, and I would pray that every one of us will rally around and ensure that the APC wins during the general election on the 14th of July.
With the APC primary done and dusted, is set between Olushola Eleka of the PD, Kayode Fayemi of the APC, and other governorship candidate July 14th.
The crisis rocking the Imo State chapter of the All Progressives Congress, which emanated from its World Congresses, took a new twist over the week. After claiming that no World Congress was held, Governor Rochas Okorocha and his supporters also boycotted the local government Congress.
In Heime Umbano and Isiala Umbano local government area of the Imo State, the All Progressive Congress APC faithful from this local government came out in their numbers to participate in the Congress. Senator Ifeanyi Ararume and other party chieftains expressed joy over the conduct of the exercise.
There is no doubt that the conference has been very, very successful. We're supposed to have finished it before 8:30, but being we're in Nigerian African time, that's why we are doing this thing by 9 o'clock. We are so happy. The people are so happy. I think the entire is so happy. They're happy. So I want to congratulate the ESCOs. I want to congratulate Tabi Bano for bringing on board a new ESCO that will stay for the next 4 years.
I'm overwhelmed as a leader in Isiala Bano local government. I'm overwhelmed by the type of situation that is here today. Everybody has been so peaceful. I was here by 7:10 in the morning to witness the type of Congress we're going to have today. Somehow I was scared a little bit, but to God be the glory, everything has been so peaceful.
All of us, this party belongs to everybody, to all of us. And everybody has to make his or her contributions towards strengthening this our party, so that our party will be in the best position to elect councillors, to elect council chairmen, to elect house members, to elect National Assembly members, to elect governor in this state, and to elect our president in 2019.
Reacting to this development, Governor Rochas Okorocha told his supporters not to worry as the party's National Working Committee will review the decisions of the appeal panel. According to him, any Congress held in the state is an exercise in futility.
There can never be local government Congress until we have done the World Congress. So you can't count two without counting one. So but I want to thank you for your patience. I've informed the National Working Committee led by the chairman, John Oyegun, to do the needful and do what is right to avoid any crisis in Imo Police Pursuit Watch.
The governor, however, asked the supporters to remain law-abiding, peaceful, and avoid anything that will bring disorder in the state.
The APC Local Government Congress, however, went well in Abia State.
Obingwa and Aba South Council areas, where CoreTV News crew monitored the conduct of the exercise, voting was through the option A4 system. In other places, the delegate turnout was impressive, while massive security presence was noticed.
I feel elated. I feel happy. I feel peace within me, because you can see the peace that transcends the conduct of the Obingwa local government congresses for APC.
And then what you saw today is another manifestation of our presence as a party in Obingwa and Abia State in general. APC is a party that is known for internal democracy.
Officials say collation of results is in progress at local government secretariats of the party as at the time of this report.
It's your program Southern Report coming to you from Core Television. We are going on a very short break and we will be right back with more stories.
Coming together of opportunities and
this is what...
Infrastructure is the backbone of development, which explains the Buhari government's effort at bridging the facility gap. Infrastructure Weekly is a television package designed to bring you latest information on hundreds of development projects going on in various sectors all over the nation.
There is no state in Nigeria today where you will not see our contractors busy at work.
Power generation, rural electrification, road rehabilitations, national housing scheme, construction of roads and rail lines across the country, you name it.
We are now able to produce 7,000 megawatt of power. That is no longer debatable.
Infrastructure Weekly is Nigerians working together for a better Nigeria. So be better informed to take better informed decisions. Watch Infrastructure Weekly, showing on Channels Television Thursdays 2:30 p.m., NTA Network Wednesdays 5 p.m., and CoreTV News Fridays at 8 p.m. Infrastructure Weekly, making development known.
You're welcome back. With the People's Democratic Party and the All Progressives Congress in Ekiti State having their gubernatorial candidates, other political parties also followed suit in beating the name submission deadline of the Independent National Electoral Commission. The Abundant Nigeria Renewal Party, ANRP, also had its primary, producing Reverend Tunde Afe as its standard bearer. Looking at the present composition of Nigeria's political system, some traditional institutions are clamoring for the reintroduction of the House of Chiefs as obtainable in the First Republic. Hear out the thought of Oba Adeyemi Obanlalige, the newly installed Olota of Ota in Ado, the local government area of Ogun State.
Many thanks for staying with us. This is CoreTV News on our app, broadcasting from Lagos, Nigeria. Abosede Omowi, here are the stories we have for you. At this time, the Minister of Power, Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, has attributed the collapse of the Mowo Bridge on the Mokwa-Jeba Road to the hazards that come with weather changes, assuring that the bridge would be back in use within 72 hours. He made this known to journalists in Zaria, Kaduna State, shortly after he paid homage to the Emir of Zozau, Shehu Idris, in his palace on Sunday. The minister explained that the ministry had deployed personnel from relevant agencies to provide measures that would ease traffic on the collapsed bridge at Mowo Junction along Mokwa-Jeba Road for motorists within the next 72 hours. The Federal Road Safety Corps had on Sunday morning alerted motorists of the collapse of the bridge after Mowo Junction on the Mokwa-Jeba Road due to heavy rainfall. And the Minister of Power, Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, has warned that the rainy season will pose a major challenge to the transmission and distribution arms of the power industry. Fashola's warning to operators in the sector was captured in the minutes of the 27th monthly meeting for stakeholders in the industry. According to him, although the rains will benefit hydropower stations, it will also pose some difficulties in the running of the distribution and transmission networks. The minister urged the operators to also send information to the public on multiple platforms of conventional and social media to report faults that they might not be aware of, adding that the operators should painstakingly resolve all customer complaints and provide better services where needed. Residents of Ndamani Chi community of Orafite in Ekusigo local government area of Anambra State have sent a Save Our Soul message to both the federal and state government, including international communities, to assist the community in arresting the fast encroaching gully erosion that is currently threatening to devour their age-long Nkwonewi and Ekwo-Orafite community road. Correspondent Bami Deliajayi, who was on the entourage of the State Ministry of Works on assessment of the erosion devastation, filed in this report as produced from our studios. The historic road network that connects Nnewi to Orafite communities, popularly known as Nkwo to Nkwo, is under large erosion menace, threatening to divide the road into two and destroy houses and farmlands which are on the plan of the erosion route. Member representing Ekusigo State Constituency, Onyebuchi Ofo, who earlier moved the motion of urgent public importance on the floor of the State House of Assembly, took the committee around the project to ascertain the level of degradation and devastation that the gully erosion has caused the people of Orafite community.
I move a motion on the floor of the House that this thing should be taken care of by the federal government, not the state, but I believe to Governor Obiano, who I know has been so kind, had been helping people who are under this kind of surge situation issue. Then the motion came up, never got any reply. I later brought up a matter of urgent public importance about this very erosion, say nothing happened. I equally have to beg through secondary motion for adjournment. I did all this things. I said, today, I'm going to bring people here for you to see with your eyes what we are seeing in Ekusugo. This is one of them.
The road, farmland and houses laying on the erosion plan are currently under threat, and stakeholders are calling for urgent intervention to start a palliative measure.
The flood is quite enormous. I've noticed that there are 2 channels that are discharging at this floodplain, and there is no way the flood was stepped down, and that is why, because it's hitting this area directly, that is why you are seeing what you are seeing today. I believe it's something that can be solved, if the right machinery is put in place. So I should be coming back from Waka, it means that I'll have to transverse through Ichi to Akuku before coming to my house, which cannot take me more than 5 minutes from this very spot. So I'm appealing to the Federal Minister of Environment, because from the way I'm looking at it, the state will do, but they cannot do much. They cannot do much. I'm appealing to the Federal Minister of Environment, the international donor agencies, to come to our rescue.
The villagers demand urgent intervention by both state and federal government, including international organizations, to rescue the people of Ndamani-Chi from being displaced by the devastating pressure of the erosion flood that they say claims lives whenever it rains.
Call on state government to come and intervene. We have reported this severally to our House member, which last few months he moved the motion for matter of urgent importance for the government to come and rescue us, to come to our aid. And this is a very, very, very important road. It's a link road. This road links Newi, to Nkwo. And you can see it yourself that the road is almost cutting off. So we really need government attention on this issue.
The houses are collapsing. We are losing most of our crop this thing. Both our farmlands and lives have been lost here. We are calling on you people to come and help us, to come and rescue us, because there's nothing we can do. There's nothing a common man can do in this kind of situation.
We are appealing to the federal government, state government, to come to our aids here, because you can see erosion has started. Before you know it, it will start to clear houses.
It is no doubt that erosion has become a common feature in many parts of Anambra State, especially in Ekosigo, Agolo, Nanka, Oko, Oka, Ozobolu, among others. The one in Orafiti appears to be hitting the people hardest because it occurs very close to built-up villages and community link road, which has already been washed off, awaiting to be cut off by the threatening erosion. Only time will tell if the cries of the helpless villagers would be heard to save lives and farmlands of the aged who have to fend for themselves and family with their God-given deposit. Now, Bacha community of Basa local government area of Plateau State is protesting against what it describes as continued encroachment of its ancestral land and building on it by the Nigerian Army 3rd Armored Division, Rukuba Barracks. The community members trooped out in large numbers singing and dancing in their peaceful protest against the illegal occupation of their land by the Nigerian Army. Douglas Emeka tells us more in this report presented from our studios.
The leader of the Bacha development area, where the Nigerian Army Division Barracks is located, expresses dismay over the way and manner the Nigerian Army is encroaching on her land through her Rukuba Barracks. They also say efforts to make them see reasons proved abortive. Their anger follows the continued threats and intimidation from the Nigerian Army in its bid to force them to leave their ancestral land.
We wrote to the GOC 3 Armored Division that we came for a peaceful demonstration. We intend to see him and air out our grievances because this barrack was acquired in 1972 to 1973. And up till this time around, they have not even compensated us where they have acquired. And then they came and encroached in our lands. And then we were about to talk to them, telling them they are encroaching. They went ahead with a fictitious map, which we have our own map, that J.D. Gomok signed the map to them. And then they got another one which has no authority on it. And they are using that map. We told them it is not the authentic map you people are using.
Speaking further, Bacha women leader explains why they are on the street and call on the relevant authorities to look into their grievances.
And right now we can see that the women are at a protest. And because it is so grievous, the youths and the men couldn't stand out to see what is happening. So today they join us to do this protest. We really wanted it to be peaceful. But as you can see, the GOC, the garrison commander, and other officers have really looking down on the Bachema. Because we were here, how many minutes have you been here? These people are supposed to come out and address us. Because of the issue of our land demarcation, they are not here to even give us an address. Courtesy demands that when somebody comes to you in peace, you welcome him in peace.
Reacting to the protest, a representative from the Nigerian army denied the allegation, assuring them that the army authority will meet with their representatives and discuss the matter for an amicable resolution.
Get your representatives, they will go and speak with the boss. Yes, sir. That's what I told them. First you are 72 years, so people can be injured, some lives will be lost, which is very bad. Okay? Yes, sir. You have your land, this is the barracks. You can't start forcing yourselves into the barracks. Yes, sir. It's very wrong. Yes, sir. What she's saying is right.
Still ahead on CoreTV News on the hour, Okwemi Bamidele has been named Director General of the APC campaign team in Ekiti State. Details of this and more stories after this break. Stay with us.
CoreTV News now live on all Androids.
Hello and welcome. This is CoreTV.
Download CoreTV News app from your Play Store. Click on the menu to see all our top stories from politics, sports, business, foreign news and live TV to watch us live on your mobile.
I want to know why I should be believing them.
You can also click on video to see all our YouTube videos. CoreTV News, a 24-hour news station.
Hi, I am Anita Patrick, host of your program Abuja Today, that brings you highlights of happenings in Nigeria's Federal Capital Territory from the Office of the Federal Capital Territory Administration.
I appeal to all of us citizens, leaders, politicians, and all to support this team to be able to restore the Abuja Master Plan.
Through the streets that involves every boy, every girl, every man, every woman, and every youth on the streets, unfolding of happenings in the nation's capital territory.
Our challenge here is kidnapping.
Welcome back. To remember, you can get more on our news and other information on our websites www.coretvnews.com and on our various social media platforms. On our Facebook page, facebook.com/CoreTVNews. Our Twitter handle at CoreTVNewsNG. Instagram page, CoreTV News, and our YouTube channel, youtube.com/CoreTVNewsNG. A former member of the House of Representatives, Okwemi Bamidele, has been named the Director General of the All Progressives Congress APC Governorship Campaign Council in Ekiti State. The APC candidate, Kayode Fayemi, announced the appointment at a news conference in Ado-Ekiti shortly after the party inaugurated the State Campaign Council. The State Campaign Council, he said, will work with the National Campaign Council, headed by Kebbi State Governor Atiku Bagudu, to achieve victory for the party at the July 14th poll. Fayemi revealed that the flag-off rally will be held on June 19th by the party's national leadership, while the final grand rally has been slated for July the 10th. The federal government has reiterated that its fight against corruption is yielding fruitful results, especially in the areas of prevention, legislation, and recovery. The Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami, stated this while paying a court call on the Governor of Kwara State, Abdul Fattah Ahmed.
Leading the federal government delegation to commensurate with the Kwara State governor over the death of the former chairman of the ICPC, Justice Mustafa Akambi, the Minister of Justice noted that with the recovery of huge sum of money, preventive measures put in place, and new legislation, the country is winning the war against corruption.
In terms of recovery, a lot of recoveries are made, both locally and internationally. In terms of legislations, a lot of new legislations that strengthen the fight against corruption are equally being put in place. So I think in terms of prevention as well, you are living witnesses to what wonders the TSA is doing. You are equally living witnesses to the application and operation of a bank verification number. You are equally living witnesses to the fact that electronic platforms have been put in place by the government to ensure that ghost workers are edged out of the payrolls. So I think by whatever standard, both in terms of prevention, in terms of legislation, and indeed in terms of recovery, the federal government is winning the war.
At the prayer ground for the final prayer for the soul of the former President, Court of Appeal Justice Mustafa Akambi, the Chief Judge of Kwara State, Suleiman Kawu, support the view of the minister, saying Nigerians are now conscious of the effects of engaging in corruption.
The fight against corruption, that where we were yesterday is not where we are today. No matter how slow, I think we are getting there. We are getting there because it's been imbibed in the mind of the people that it does not pay to be corrupt again. And I think to that extent, we are winning the fight against corruption.
A senior advocate of Nigeria, Yusuf Ali, however, differ, noting that things still remain the same within politicians and civil servants. He noted that the country still has a long way to go in the fight against corruption.
I think it is there for all of us to see. We are all Nigerians. What I always tell everybody is, has anything changed in the way we live our lives before and now? I've not seen anything that has changed in us. We still do our businesses the same way. We come across government officials the same way. I think we have a lot of way to go on the issue of fighting of the corruption in our country.
The fight against corruption will only succeed if the entire country come together to fight the menace.
As the nation prepares for its general elections, former Secretary General of the United Nations, Ibrahim Gambari, has charged Nigerian youth to be critical in their choice of a good leader rather than fall for any politician, as was the case in the past. He reminded the youth that they had been victims of bad leadership by politicians who were not interested in their welfare but seeking selfish gains. Lukman Oyedeji tells us more in this report compiled from our studios.
Professor Gambari made the call during the 6th convocation ceremony of Kwara State University, Malete. He notes that politicians often exploit the youth and use them to rig elections and cause electoral violence in most parts of the country during elections conducted so far in the nation. He also calls on the federal government to ensure that the independent National Electoral Commission is well funded to conduct credible elections and end impunity and thuggery and all forms of violence during and after elections.
In this regard, as the 2019 elections draws near, never allow yourself to be used by anybody, either as dogs or for the manipulation of the electoral process. On the contrary, get interested in who governs you and how our leaders are selected. The government on their part must empower the Independent Electoral Commission to conduct free and fair elections in 2019 and beyond. We must give our support while insisting on a permanent end to acts of impunity, and we must have zero tolerance for thuggery and the manipulation of elections. Election 2019 Nigeria must be a game changer, inshallah, because without free and fair elections and democracy, there will be no development. Without development, there will not be peace, and what we need in Nigeria.
Similarly, the Vice Chancellor of the Kwara State University, Professor Abdurrashid Nala, charges all graduates to demonstrate skills of entrepreneurship and stop looking for white-collar jobs. He says the youth can task their creative powers and make a whole lot of difference in their lives and the community they live in.
Don't start carrying your CVs, running around and roaming the streets. We have trained you to be entrepreneurs. Prove the training you receive from KWASU. Entrepreneurial all the way. This is the time to be creative, innovative, and demonstrate the entrepreneurship skills you have acquired in your university.
Head of the Service of the Federation, Winifred Oyoita, says the service has revamped the peer review mechanism for permanent secretaries of federal ministries to enhance information gathering and sharing between ministries. The review, she disclosed, will assist government stay abreast of activities within the ministries, departments and agencies with the ultimate goal of ensuring workers' welfare and national productivity. Ariti Fanga reports from Abuja.
Speaking during a courtesy visit to the Minister of Defense in Abuja, Oyoita says the service realized the need to engage in peer review visits to find out how the various ministries are executing their mandates, know their challenges, and provide solutions for efficient service delivery.
And it also gives the opportunity for the visiting permanent secretaries and the host permanent secretary to exchange ideas on how to carry out government business in an efficient and productive manner.
Receiving the head of service and her entourage, the Minister of Defense lauded the support of the service, requesting for its sustenance to enable the ministry continue in its work of facilitating security of lives and property.
We in the Defense Ministry are doing our best to see how this nation will be secured without fear of people. Whatever people think, whatever society may feel, we are doing it to the best interest of their country.
The head of service of the Federation, in company of the peer review team, comprising 14 permanent secretaries, had visited the Ministry of Defense with the aim of outlining government achievements and deficits, particularly in resource capacity. Arit Efang, CoreTV News, Abuja.
In reports from outside Nigeria now, North Korean state media have raised the possibility that the isolated country could establish a new relationship with the United States. It comes a day before North Korean leader Kim Jong-un meets U.S. President Donald Trump for historic talks. Their comment marked a shift in tone from North Korea after decades of animosity towards the U.S. Meanwhile, Trump has said he has a good feeling about the much-anticipated summit. Both leaders arrived for the talks, the first ever between a sitting U.S. president and a North Korean leader in Singapore. Trump tweeted on Monday morning that there was excitement in the air in the Asian country ahead of the summit. He hopes the meeting will kickstart a process that eventually sees Kim give up nuclear weapons. Now, a war of words has erupted between the U.S. and its G7 allies hours after the group had put on a show of unity at the end of a tense summit. U.S. President Donald Trump and two of his advisors lashed out at Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, accusing him of engaging in bad faith diplomacy. Trump retracted his endorsement of the G7's joint communique, drawing a strong rebuke from France and Germany. That statement had sought to overcome deep disagreement, notably over trade. In recent weeks, trading partners of the U.S. have criticized new tariffs on steel and aluminium imports imposed by the Trump administration. In sports news, Neymar and his Brazil teammates landed on Russian soil in the early hours of Monday, fresh from beating Austria 3-0 in their final warm-up outing ahead of the World Cup. As the clock ticks down to Thursday's tournament opener in Moscow between host Russia and Saudi Arabia, the five-time World Cup winners arrived in Sochi, the Black Sea resort city, where they will be based, just before 3 a.m. local time. The Brazilians made the journey with their confidence boosted after Neymar marked his first start in more than 3 months by scoring in the victory over the Austrians and Vienna. And talking tennis, world number 1 Rafael Nadal won an 11th French Open title by beating Austrian Dominic Thiem in straight sets. Nadal won 6-4, 6-3, 6-2 to earn his 17th Grand Slam, 3 adrift of Roger Federer.
And the secret is there. It's a very short journey. You don't have to go as far as Abaji before you know what is happening in Kuji.
All of us, we don't know, in short, we don't know where to put head. Because definitely our children, they are hungry.
So join me at this time on CoreTV as we take you on a tour on Nigerian seats of power.
This is what
Infrastructure is the backbone of development, which explains the Buhari government's effort at bridging the facility gap. Infrastructure Weekly is a television package designed to bring you latest information on hundreds of development projects going on in various sectors all over the nation.
There is no state in Nigeria today where you will not see our contractors busy at work.
Power generation, rural electrification, road rehabilitations, national housing scheme, construction of roads and rail lines across the country, you name it.
We are now able to produce 7,000 megawatts.
Rafa Nadal on that victory. That's it on sports and on CoreTV News in an hour. Many thanks for staying with us. I'm Aposedi Omowi.
CoreTV News now live on all Androids.
Hello and welcome. This is CoreTV.
Download CoreTV News app from your Play Store. Click on the menu to see all our top stories from politics, sports, business, foreign news and live TV to watch us live on your mobile.
I want to know why I should be believing them.
You can also click on video to see all our YouTube videos. CoreTV News, a 24-hour news station.
Hi, I am Anete Patrick, host of your program Abuja Today, that brings you highlights of happenings in Nigeria's Federal Capital Territory from the office of the Federal Capital Territory Administration.
I appeal to all of us citizens, leaders, politicians, and all to support this team to be able to restore the Abuja Master Plan.
Through the streets that involves every boy, every girl, every man, every woman, and every youth on the streets, unfolding of happenings in the nation's capital territory.
Our challenge here is kidnapping, and the secret is there. It's a very short journey. You don't have to go as far as Abaji before you know what is happening in Kuji.
All of us, we don't know, in short, we don't know where to put head. Because definitely our students, they are hungry.
So join me at this time on CoreTV as we take you on a tour on Nigerian seats of power.
This is what
Infrastructure is the backbone of development, which explains the Buhari government's effort at bridging the facility gap. Infrastructure Weekly is a television package designed to bring you latest information on hundreds of development projects going on in various sectors all over the nation.
There is no state in Nigeria today where you will not see our contractors busy at work.
Power generation, rural electrification, road rehabilitations, national housing scheme, construction of roads and rail lines across the country, you name it.
We are now able to produce 7,000 megawatts of power. That is no longer debatable.
Infrastructure Weekly is Nigerians working together for a better Nigeria. So be better informed to take better informed decisions. Watch Infrastructure Weekly, showing on Channels Television Thursdays 2:30 p.m., NTA Network Wednesdays 5 p.m., and CoreTV News Fridays at 8 p.m. Infrastructure Weekly, making development known.
Democracy allows for fair hearing. This is reckless. This is ungodly.
When news break, we engage experts in critical analysis.
Do you see your party coming into power come 2019?
This administration will succeed and succeed well.
You cannot be running a 4-year tenure like you are running a 20-year tenure.
He has done fairly well, especially where insurgency and terrorism is concerned.
Then it gets controversial.
They have a right to their opinion.
Can we